Crosby from the corner, twisting and turning inside out. Beautiful move, trying to get the shot on. He holds, he shoots, he scores! Absolutely!
The pitch, high fly ball, center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall. Goal!
Roethlisberger gives him a lot of room here. Juju Smith-Schuster off to the races inside the 30, the 20, the 10.
Look at that, 10 years. Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios. After a little intro here, I'll explain why. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park, and from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate you. Thanks for liking our Facebook page. 6,921 likes. We're on our way to 7,000. And we have a great show. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Nick Callis is doing the fan show. Chip Hayner broke his molar doing New Year's, so he had to go to the dentist at 5 and get some repair work, so he could not make it. We got Smoking Jim Frazier here. And we have a special returning guest, been on here 4 different times, Jake Clancher, otherwise known as J.A. Clancher. And we're going to have him talk. He's pumped up, and he's actually a scout for hockey, and he knows sports, and he actually knows baseball better than Smoking Jim. and we can get into that a little bit later, but I have some promos to go to first. The show is sponsored by Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Watch A2 on this. He gave the thumbs up. Watch this graphic. Look at that. He centered it. Olive Oil's Pizzeria gives us an XL pepperoni pizza and a steak hoagie. And you can give them a call, 412-831-1900. Hillcrest Shopping Center. Great Italian food, desserts, salads, pastas, you name it, they got it. And Hillcrest is just a mile away, 5 minutes from our studio. And we thank Frank Fanera, the owner. And I got to see his brother Mike. Thanks for sponsoring our show. We appreciate that. Now this next one, let's see how A2 does on this. We'll have a little pause. You hear that squeak? It means he's tuning in.
Donut.
All right, here we go.
Donut.
Look at that. The Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong to honor poor Joey. Died at 8 years old due to dreaded brain cancer called DIPG. That's before it. In the top picture, bottom picture, he had DIPG. Died right before his 9th birthday 6 years ago. The family's raised over $100,000. They do a special 5K 1 mile run at the high school every September. I filmed the show with superheroes running, and it's their biggest fundraiser of the year. You can see it on film each year. We do at least a half-hour show presenting the Joey Fabus 5K 1 mile superhero run. And they've raised a lot of money. Check it out this year in September. So we'll go there. Next up, I want to thank all of you for liking this next page. It's a Facebook page. Nice people start a 501c3. It's called Always Be Smiling. Great job by A2 again.
So for those of you who don't know, I have to intervene now. Those of you who don't know what a 501c3 is a non-profit organization legalized by the government that is gifted to people with special needs. And I feel like a lot of times people throw around the term 501c3, but it's really not. Really, people don't know what it is.
Thanks. No, and I've worked to tell you this. I've had to update Smoking Jim because he thinks I'm not picking on him.
That takes us to our first segment.
He thinks first a for-profit's a 501c3 and he can start one.
Right.
And I've worked for 501c3s, which are non-profits. They're government entity, and they're approved by the government. I've explained it. So Jake is also a financial guy. And he can answer all your questions, Smoking Jim, even about Bitcoins
Yes!
after the show.
Yes.
And the
Blockchain. Blockchain.
and the nice thing about crypto, Smoking Jim's going to be a millionaire. When we talked about it, Bitcoins a couple months ago were 60,000. Now they're 47,000. He's with a group that'll told him he'll be a millionaire in 5 years. So he lost money this year. But other than that, it's okay. Back to Always Be Smiling. Thank you for the likes. They wanted to get to 1,000 this past year. Their B stands for Bennett. Their son, 16-and-a-half-year-old, died due to kidney disease. The dad, Dean, gave him a kidney, and it was his second kidney transplant, but he couldn't survive his handicaps. And they started this Always Be Smiling. And they thank all of you and myself for all the likes. So if you get a chance, Always Be Smiling, give it a like. Next up, another 501c3. Hope you remember what Jake said.
That is a government entitled nonprofit organization, which is able to help people and not be taxed. So it's something that has to be acknowledged by the United States government as something that is super beneficial to essentially society, to put it in the most common terms.
And tell Smoking Jim.
I like the no tax. I like that.
Now
Yes, there's no tax.
And
on
here's
that.
the key thing with Smoking Jim. He doesn't give his government name,
Well, here's the
and
thing about Smoking Jim.
he doesn't do his taxes. But other people can actually write off their donations because it's a
Right. It's a 401 or 501c3 nonprofit or 401c3b, depending. They're all government.
Don't get so technical there, Jake. You went too far for
I'm
smoking.
sorry.
Maybe that's what I got. 401.
C3, you have a.
You know
well,
why?
Jim, I know what you have. You have a 401c3 nonprofit. I know what you have.
No, and here's why. Little story about my best friend.
I know what you have, Jim.
He's as good.
I know what you have.
He's as good and as smart as the last comment he got. And he tries to make that into something that's his. And as you can see, as we meander a little bit, it's not his. He doesn't even have a clue as to what it is. He could write it on paper and he would not recognize it. But other than that, next up we have another 501c3.
And by the way, all these great organizations, guys. These are all great organizations. We appreciate all these.
Hence why I promote him. Bethel Park Community Foundation. I'm a trustee on the board of the Bethel Park Community Foundation. Go to bpcf.org. Get your application. We have money for you. Grant money from $100 to $5,000. The little disclaimer is nothing for Smoking Jim. And it helps other people in the community of Bethel Park. To show you how we've been in 25 years, we've given out $1 million.
I'd like to give my chance right now to give one thing to a company around this area that I really care a bunch about, which is Bruce Brothers Tire. And I told Bruce Brothers that coming onto the show that I would do this. And
You can
and
say,
quite frankly, their customer satisfaction is second to none. You want good tires, you go to Bruce Brothers.
I need tires.
There you go, Jim.
I need tires.
that's a little secret promo that we got in there. Bruce Brothers, a Bethel Park company, been here for years, right down by Sheets, if you needed the location. Great location. You know where Sheets is, Smoking Jim on 88.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know. Smoking Jim can add some facts. Just don't bring up 501, 401, XYZ, and Bitcoins. Don't bring up BTC. Because, Jake, I'll explain something. I told him when he said he'd be a millionaire,
Yes.
the people he's with are a great group, and they said he would be a millionaire at $1,000 in Bitcoins. So I said, Smoking Jim, you have to make 1,000 times that. I go, Bitcoins are 60,000. They'd have to be $60 million for you to make $1 million.
Sure.
And I go, that won't happen.
And Jim is, I think, clearly someone who's shown that he doesn't really give a shit what you think. He's just going to do whatever he
Thank
thinks
you.
is right.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Dave Cable likes to have some fun of me. Look at this graphic. I want you for BPTV. Tell them Uncle Al the talking machine wants you for BPTV. You can be like A2, A1. You could be like Nick. You could be like Ryan. And you could be like anybody else that comes in and helps us out. We even have Ethan from high school. He's a senior at Bethel Park. Smoking Jim knows who he is, but not which name. And he comes in and helps us out. So he knows how to use a camera. All right, we're going to end this with another lady who needed a kidney transplant, and we promoted her. And she has a living donor when her kidney gets down to 15%. Kathleen Miller is a friend of mine now, and thanks everybody for trying to help her out. And when she needs the kidney, we'll find out who it is and who the donor was, and when she goes to the hospital, and we're praying for you right now, Kathleen. All right, one more thing where I test A2 skills. You'll like this, Jake. Stay quiet, no drum roll. Watch this. Gave the thumbs up. Look at that frame with the purple.
Oh, look at that.
Unbelievable. Skeet Service Station, Finleyville, 6103 Library Road, right down the road, red, white, and blue station. I'm moving a little bit. Wait till you get to be 65 and a half. You may shake a little bit. You can call him at 724-348-4715. Skeet Lewandowski runs it. Shout out and prayers for his dad who just passed away. Butch was a great guy, 78 years old, just passed. And we miss him, but he works on anything and everything that runs on gas, from cars, trucks, motorcycles, weed whackers, lawn mowers, you name it, he works on it. Electronic devices, they fix them, so they handle everything, gas and electric. Check them out, 6103 Library Road, Finleyville, 6 miles away from here.
Wow.
All right.
What a blessing that we have that kind of corporate sponsorship on this show.
Yes.
That is awesome. And quite honestly, on a whole human level, Al, if you don't mind me saying.
No, you can say.
We're so blessed to have that. But really, I really ask from the bottom of my heart that for those people that were just outlining there, that really need those prayers out there, that we take the time to actually, pray for them and actually do the reason that they're on the show, which is to take the prayers.
Well, I'm not just a pretty face. I go out there and try to get these things, Jake, so that's why we have them, buddy. All right, we're going to move on. We do What's on Your Mind, and Skeet Lewandowski sponsors it. Smoking Jim Frazier, What's on Your Mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Coming at you.
you got to see Levine. Jake the Snake.
My man, it's your green.
No, give it back. Give it back. That's my pen. I only got one.
And I tell you what, me and Tony, we waiting for that Bitcoin to split. That's where we're going to make our money, brother, when that coin splits, man.
I don't think you don't understand anything about it, Smoking Jim. I got to disclaim this because we're not going to talk about Bitcoins anymore. He didn't understand that he didn't have a full coin, Bitcoin, when I told him you have a fraction. Then I called him a liar, and he sent me some account that he has online, and I said, that's a fraction. So he doesn't have a clue. He doesn't know that they can't split Bitcoins. They have a coin, and they mine it electronically.
Yeah, it's called blockchain, Al.
Yeah. So that's where I
Yeah,
can.
however,
That's a new
you know
name.
what,
That's a new
however-
word for
No.
me, blockchain.
This show is not defined.
No,
on
we're
describing
moving.
cryptocurrency and
We're
blockchain.
gonna end that
Yeah,
because
later.
Smoking's been distracted for 6 months because he's not a millionaire yet. And I'm hopeful for him. He's my best friend.
Well, I tell you what, Al Levine, the talking machine, I don't know, there's so many people watching the show right now, so I don't know who's watching the show that's getting ready to go to work, but it's probably not Antonio Brown. Hey, Al Levine, the talking machine, I got so much respect for you white guys because white folks...
Hold it. Tony from Chick-fil-A. Disclaimer, these are Smoking Jim's only private opinions. He's not racist. He just seems that way.
I love it. I think it's
And
terrific.
Because
I love where he's going with it.
When you
Yeah.
white guys need help, y'all go get help. The black community, I've been pushing Al Levine for years to go get some help, to go see Bob Newhart or go see your shrink. We can't get a black man to go see the shrink. Al Levine, the talking machine. Listen, Antonio Brown needs help. He's calling out for
Clearly,
help.
Jim.
Al Levine, the talking
Clearly.
machine, and he can't get any help. Al Levine, the
No,
talking
hold
machine.
on.
Well,
Hold on. Whoa, time out.
Yeah, time out.
Time out. He had every chance to get help by friends and family.
Black people won't go to
Friend-
shrinks.
Yeah, but he's coming out with racism again. Here's the problem.
Have you ever met a black psychiatrist?
Yes.
Yes.
Really? Where?
Yeah, I know a couple.
Does he
Yeah.
got any black clients?
Actually, one of the best ones I've met with as a sports psychiatrist.
Really?
Yeah, in college was a black man. So
Wow.
yes. But here's what I will say about Antonio Brown. What he did the other day was selfish. Okay. What we can say about Antonio Brown was that he was, as a player, okay, as a true player. So let's take sports and society and let's kind of separate, right? This was a player that was, the last time I was on the show, I think that we were having a conversation that could pass Jerry Rice's records as the greatest wide receiver of all
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And I was on the show about 3 years ago, last time, with this exact group.
Yeah.
And we were having this, AV, the 3Bs, this kind of conversation. He quit on 3 teams since then. He took his uniform off and quit his team on national television during, and then he releases a rap album on top of it.
Did he?
So is it about stating a purpose, or is it that he really needs help? I think it's that he really needs mental help.
Can I say one thing though? as far
Jake
as-
was interacting to your comment,
I just wanted to
so
say.
he's
I
reacting.
just want to react to the reaction.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
go ahead.
Antonio
I
Brown,
made this
I'll
claim.
clear the record. Antonio Brown didn't quit the team. Bruce Arians sent him to the locker room and then got mad at how he went to the locker room.
Hold
He
it.
got sent to the locker room.
No,
How do you
your
know that, Jim?
explanation.
How do you know that? I
You're-
didn't see that
Yeah,
footage.
yeah. Well,
Is that
I'm an
true?
NFL scout. Yeah, I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't make it. My inside information.
Okay.
That isn't inside information.
What happened
fair.
was
If
what
that's
happened
what
was
happened, if that's true.
Antonio Brown been
got
out most
sent-
of the year.
Hold it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You played football. You had a coach.
And I never seen a shrink, even though I
You
did a
had,
checkup
wait. You
from
had
the
a
neck up.
coach. If your coach told you to go to the locker room, you'd have been running to the locker room.
True.
So this shows the character and the brain of a person who's ill.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He is totally ill. He refused help. He doesn't think he needs help. And look what he keeps doing. He's self-destructive because he's mentally ill. We don't talk about mental illness.
Yeah.
There's many shapes and forms of it. And I pray for all of you suffering from mental illness during
I do-
COVID. And I pray extra for smoking Jim Frazier. And
Well,
I won't say why.
I pray for all those people, Jim included. Okay. But here is
Thank
the
you.
reality: is that mental illness amongst athletes right now is, especially during a situation where you're put in a position as a professional, where you're expected to perform at the highest level. Okay, and you feel that you are given a certain amount of time to make the most out of ultimately a game that is going to take away from you. So, are Antonio Brown's actions wrong, in my opinion? Absolutely. Egregious, disrespectful. But do I, in a weird way, also understand where Antonio Brown is coming from? He's causing a scene leaving? Because at the end of the day, he's not probably going to the Hall of Fame now.
Right.
He's deserved
He crashed and burned his career.
He crashed and burned his career based upon putting himself above the team. That's the definition of quitting on a team. You quit on it, and he did it 3 times, which is the highest in history. You guys can look it up. You viewers out there, no NFL player has ever quit an NFL franchise mid-game ever, except for Antonio Brown. And on those bases and those bases alone, he should not be in the Hall of Fame, despite the fact he quit on his team 3 times. So if we're going to sit here and we're going to say, oh yeah, it's a team sport, that's all great. But you quit.
Good point, Smoking Jim, what's your final point on this?
That's it. I just wanted to say, just for in 30 seconds.
He's lost.
Just
He's
for
a
the
lost soul, Jim.
Just for the viewing audience, Antonio Brown's been out most of the year with an ankle injury, even though he was having an all-pro season at the beginning. He played last week and played well and re-injured that ankle. He came off the field, told the coaches that
Didn't he
quit-
lose a number of paychecks because he didn't?
Yeah.
He forged a COVID card.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
but he told the coaches that he was too injured to re-enter the game.
Which is
Bruce
fair.
Arians, the genius, my favorite coach, told him to get back on the field. He said, "No, I'm hurt." He said, "Get back on the field." He said, "No, I'm hurt." Bruce Arians then ordered him to the locker room, so he never really quit the team.
That's,
he was,
okay, and
he
that's
just,
fair. If that's
he
the
went
case,
to the
then that
locker
is a
room
fair
on
thing.
coach's orders,
If that is, if
and
that
that's
is-
what's on my mind.
Smoking Jim Frazier, if you did that with your legendary Gateway coach, would you even be on the team?
No.
Okay, then whatever Antonio Brown did is wrong. Whether he quit or not, he didn't want to play.
he made a situation more about himself than he did
Your glasses
either
are steaming
team.
up. Your glasses are steaming.
I know. That's why I said I
Just take them off.
Okay, I'll take them.
All right. Hey, I want to shout out to Greg Kirby. That was my catcher in Little League.
Who was my catcher?
Nobody. He said, Happy New Year to you and your crew there. So, Happy New Year back to you, Greg. Bill Means says, Happy New Year, fellas. He's driving the Crazy Train book, which is a great book. If you need to get a book, Bill Means' life. It was a great story. Thank you very much. Johnny Mariano helped us out in the studio every once in a while. He's on a long-term hiatus
My
right now.
man Johnny.
But he loves our show, and he's not a sports guy. Shout out to Amy and Bakery at Giant Eagle. She said, Happy New Year to me and my crew. So thank you for all that. Anybody else that didn't show up, my phone's a little sketchy in here. Stuff doesn't always show up, but if you're watching the show, it
Is
said,
that an Obama phone?
no.
No.
This is whatever Smoking Jim has, I have 1/3 of the phones that he has. So he just runs wild. He sort of has like Tourette's, but he doesn't swear. But that's where we are. So we're going to go to Jake Clancher and what's on your mind?
Where to start? I would just say this, guys. We're all sports fans here, and
Yes.
anybody who is tuning in onto a show like this is a sports fan, especially a local sports fan. Someone who's a Yinzer. All right. As a Yinzer, if you truly appreciate, and I hate to use the term Yinzer in a derogatory term, I'm using it as a positive term.
Black
Okay.
and gold.
Black and gold, blue and yellow, the things that we watched over the last week in sports, okay, the week in sports is what I want to talk about, this last week.
Lay it on us.
We had a situation that took place with Kansas City and Cincinnati that came right down to the wire, and there were a total of 5 team plays dictated that could be argued by the outcome of penalties, or the team was able to make the play at the right time, all the while with the guy who actually made the play, Burrow, by the end of the game, nobody even referenced, he didn't even have the nameplate on his back anymore. The nameplate was taken off his back. So that either would mean he's given a replacement jersey mid-game because he had blood dripping out,
Yeah.
or someone ripped it off. Well, last time I checked, it's not ripped off. So why was that nameplate ripped off his jersey? But Joe Burrow, and really to watch that game unfold, and how it unfolded, and to see Cincinnati make the playoffs in the way they did, that shows that football is parity, and it's the best sport right now in real time because it is the most entertaining. It is the most can't-miss stuff. It's incredible. Forward to Roethlisberger. Monday Night Football, one day after. And what you got a chance to see him and in the emotions that, as 18 years of a Steeler fan, that I've had to deal with. Basically, I was a sophomore in high school when Ben Roethlisberger
Wow.
You know.
You've known nobody else.
Well, no, I have known other people. That's the thing. I have seen other people.
I want you to
can
come back on that. I needed
I can
to
remember
know.
Maddox. I can remember, and so not only that, but really to me, I'll finish it with two more things. Last night I had a very special moment where my girlfriend's child actually came downstairs. He knows nothing about football, can't even read, and he came downstairs wearing one of those Russell Athletic like Bush League jerseys you get at like TJ Maxx. He comes down and he's wearing 7 Roethlisberger, but he's wearing it on the front of his chest. He's wearing a shirt backwards, and he just said, "Who's 7? Who's 7?" And to have to explain to a young child, what is 7, Jim? What is 7? I mean, what does 7 mean to someone? And to see the impact that it's taken, that, again, if you followed the history, and I'm not going to point out Roethlisberger's ups and downs and all that stuff, we all know about it, to see it come full circle, that was probably my favorite part of the game, honestly. That and the fact that Cleveland just didn't run Chubb into the ground starting in the second half, because that's all they had to do.
I got to bring that up on my segment there, but yeah, very interesting.
And so,
no, great points. What's your other point? You got another point?
Yeah, my last point is it's become very clear that, going off of what you were talking about, is that there's clearly a mental health issue among not only sport, but just people in general in today's society. So all we can do is take our best foot forward to the best we can every day, to the best of the ability that we've been given. And if we do that, that defines not only life, but sport. That is my third point.
I got to salute you for that.
Even though Smokin' Jim was one of AB's advisors.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't
And
care.
and the Tony at Chick-fil-A,
I don't care.
I won't put a disclaimer on Smokin'. And Smokin' Jim's top 10, we have a running joke about top 10 lists with Smokin' Jim. I'm done with them right now because we're starting a new year. I'm tired of top 10 with 16 names on it. I don't get it. Somebody will have to explain it to me. And Bill Means, I'll do one more promo, and this is the 2022 promo of the year. Bill Means wrote a book, You're on the Crazy Train and I'm Driving. You can find it on Amazon. I read it. I recommend it. Can't say enough about it. So get his book, and it's about his life. And at Keystone Oaks, I'll just share this. A few years as I'm playing at Keystone Oaks and football, I kept hearing about one of the toughest guys in Keystone Oaks history, graduated 4 or 5 years ago, and his name was Bill Means. Well, I ended up meeting him later, about 5'8", 5'9". He was knocking 300-pounders out of the game.
Wow.
And he had a reputation, went to college and everything else. Very smart guy, had a great career. But that's the piqued your interest. Grew up in Castle Shannon. So I have friends from Castle Shannon, Dormont, and Greentree, because that's Keystone Oaks. So there was one of the greatest players at Keystone
Can I say
Oaks.
something? Can I say one thing? I wish Means, when he played, could have played against Aliquippa and knocked some of them out. Don't you? Don't we hate Aliquippa?
Smokin' Jim's the
Clearly
nicest
Jim
guy.
does. Clearly Jim does.
He's the nicest guy in the world, but when you bring up Clareton and Aliquippa, he gets crazy. So you and Bill would get along fine.
I needed Bill Means on quip.
Well, if you would have told him hit that guy, he could get the ball, he would have done it. The guy would have been out of the game. But we're going to move on to what's on my mind. Again, Big Ben. Remember when he came here, saw different sides of him. As you know, I'm a smart, observant guy. Saw different actions by him with different religious things, then saw some wrestling behavior, some bad behavior, some lawsuits.
Yeah, let's talk about that wrestling behavior
that got
that nobody
settled.
knows about. That he
Right.
was on Monday Night Raw with D-Generation X.
No, he
way
was
back in
hanging.
the-
He was
yeah,
hanging strong with them.
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
on D-Generation
I don't know how
X.
you missed it since you love Big
I
Ben.
love wrestling.
Well, there were negative and
A lot of
most
things
people.
that happened there really quick, Jim.
Right.
You know, it's easy to.
But there's things out there, and they were distractions. But what I always admired, is a guy 6'4", probably 260, 270. Linemen would bounce off of him. These defensive linemen. It didn't matter if he had guys blocking or they were hitting to him, and he was mobile. He could run a little bit, get out of the way, and he did that fake pass and the fake pump.
Fake as well as anybody
How-
I've ever
how
seen anybody do it
legendary.
in the game. 100%, not even a question.
How legendary is that pump fake when you don't do it once, twice, 3 times, sometimes 4 times, then complete a pass? And you can see he's near the end of his career because he dropped the ball a couple times. He's not mobile. He's throwing so fast because his offensive line's the worst in the league. They did play well for the running game, but he threw 46 times. And I'm like, there's no way. When I saw the average of like 1.23 yards, I said, that's a problem.
Well, I also think too, Al, that you really have to look at it from a complete team standpoint, and that if you really, in my opinion, so it's just me.
This is all opinions.
Just
Go ahead.
me. I actually thought the Steelers played their most complete game of the year last year and looked
Well,
like a team
here's-
that could win
here's
the
what
Super Bowl if given the opportunity, potentially. Because with that defense, okay, when healthy, we're dealing in a non-perfect world. They still have a chance. Okay, they're still on the
we'll
hunt.
get to Steelers in the last segment, but I wanted to get to this that I brought up last week about the 1940 Steelers when they finally named them the Steelers after calling them the Pirates from 33 to 40. They had 6 games in a row, Jake, that they didn't score an opening touchdown in the first half. We were going to tie that record if we didn't do it last
Wasn't
night.
that the year they almost lost the team?
Well, no, this is This is 33. They were founded, called the Pirates. 40 they
I know,
named, got the Steelers.
I'm joking.
Just giving you some history.
Yeah, I know.
It's on my show last week. You can check it out. But no, that's okay. But the point of this is, I always tell my son, how does a coach not get a team ready to start? And these are the facts that we're seeing. I don't get paid to scout. I'm not making millions of dollars or $1 billion owning the Steelers. I'm just a rinky-dink fan looking at, I played football. We'd come out and try our hardest at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'd score, maybe they'd score. But I didn't see that for 5 games.
Good point.
So this game I knew would be exceptional. The crowd was crazy.
You knew within 3 plays of that game yesterday, on the Steelers' first offensive drive, that they were probably going to win that game, no matter what. Because we saw what
There was
happened.
something unusual called emotion.
Well, and just the lack of error that you like. It was like, when was the last time this year that the Steelers didn't go 3 and out on a first drive?
And there was something else that I noticed called emotion on each play, where I didn't see that a lot throughout.
Attention to detail, character, things of integrity, things that you expect out of the Pittsburgh
And then
Steelers.
I saw something unusual. I saw a couple blocks downfield by linemen, and I saw Najee Harris making a left, right, A-hole, B-hole, hitting these
whatever
holes.
whatever hole he wants to hit. He hit
Right.
it yesterday.
Now, I go like this. I know we're
That
winning
boy
the
was
game.
running hard yesterday.
And he showed the talent that he has. 188 yards it took till this game to do it. We'll talk about Steelers later, but we're going to come back with some fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Geno Smith will drop deep. He'll pump. He'll take it. Lost the football. Knocked out by one. Recovered by Devin Bush, who circles the ring.
Can you tell me where you were on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock?
No. Can you tell me where it was at 7 p.m. on Tuesday?
What if I told you I can? What if I told you I know exactly where you are every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock?
Every Tuesday night? Why would I be doing the same thing every Tuesday night?
Maybe because you like pizza.
What are you getting at?
We have your fingerprints all over the switcher in the control room. I can smell the Olive Oil's pizza on your breath. I think you know exactly what I'm getting at.
You can't prove anything.
We have eyewitnesses that can place you at the scene. You might as well just come clean.
Okay, I'm in it. I help broadcast Pittsburgh Sportsline Live every Tuesday night at 7 on Beat Beat TV.
I know you do, Anthony. Because I'm there too.
What?
Because I'm the VIP.
So check out the VIP, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and the rest of the lively crew on Pittsburgh Sportsline every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on BPTV.
Okay.
Najee Harris to the end zone.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I got my main man, Jake the Snake. I tell you what, I was at the game when Chuck Noll's last game, and I didn't think it would get any better than that. I've never seen a final game in the NFL that the fans showed so much love that they did with Big Ben. And Big Ben, in my opinion, is the greatest quarterback in Steeler history, and he's one of the top 5 Steelers of all time. Of course, the number 1 Steeler of all time on my list is T.J. Watt. Number 1, let's just go through some of Big Ben's accomplishments. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time AFC champion, 8-time division champion, 5th all-time in career wins, 6th all-time in career postseason wins, 9th all-time in career winning percentage, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL passing leader, 5th all-time passing yards, 8th all-time in passing touchdowns, 5th all-time in completion, 14 all-time in passing rating, 17 all-time in completion percentage, 3rd all-time in fourth quarter comeback, 6 all-times in game-winning drives, most 500-yard games in NFL history with 3, tied most for perfect passing games, most touchdown passes in consecutive
Now, Jim, I got to
games.
stop you. I know you're looking at a list here, okay, but I'm gonna leave out. There are 2 things here that you have immediately left out.
Okay.
One of 4 quarterbacks in the history of the game to throw for 60,000 passing yards. Wow. One of 4.
Wow. And guess what they each
One
have?
of the highest. He has next to Tom Brady, the highest winning percentage at his home field of all time. He's never lost a game on Monday Night Football.
That wasn't on my list, but that was good.
Yeah, you won't find that.
let
And
me
that's off the
add-
top of my head.
Since Jake interrupted you, I got to interrupt you on this fact. I'm listening to the game, and they go, since 1982, Big Ben's been sacked more than anybody else. Listen to this. It was 551 sacks. And you know when they bring it up, of course, another sack happened. He got sacked on the next play. They go, he set the record on himself of 552 sacks.
It's amazing.
So he earned his retirement with just how many times he got sacked.
Jim, what were the last of those stats you were going to ring off?
Well, I'll do the last 3, and then I'll bring up the reason why I read this.
I want to know.
One of 6 quarterbacks that beat all 31 teams.
Yeah.
2 more to go. Youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And NFL Rookie of the Year. And I read all that to say this. 18 years, first ballot Hall of Famer, greatest quarterback in Steeler history, top 5 player in Steeler history, with T.J. Watt being number 1. And he's only been voted team MVP once because of reverse discrimination. The black players, which make up 85 to 90% of the team, won't vote for white guys to win the MVP. And I think that we ought to say no to all discrimination, including reverse discrimination. I want to see white cornerbacks in the National Football League. I want to see,
I love it. I love it.
and I want to see a black field goal kicker
Amen,
in the
brother.
National Football League.
Hey,
It's a
Smokin'.
shame. Listen,
I
with these
got to
sta-
interrupt you
Yes,
right
sir.
now. You were against the first black punter we ever had.
This other one I like.
And
This
now
other
they
one I
just
like.
hired the second black punter.
I like this other black.
Now, this is what we have to deal with. And he's not racist. Bill Means says, Smoking Jim, I wish I could knock a few Aliquippa players out also.
Yes.
My specialty was hitting people so hard they had to leave the game. I did pay a price for it, but it got me through college and graduated valedictorian, and the rest you have to read in the book.
All right.
I'll share it with him, but he already turned it down, Bill.
I want to read.
He turned your book down.
I want to read it.
All right.
But as I wrap
And your
up,
point to all
my
this?
point is, here's a guy, 18 years, one of the greatest of all time. No Steelers have ever played as many games, even close
249.
as Ben Roethlisberger, and the black players won't vote for him to be MVP of the team, and I think that's a doggone shame.
Well, not only is it a doggone shame,
Because he won't let him play rap music in the locker room on Tuesdays.
Well, I'm going to ask you guys this. This is a very separate question. So over the course of, we were talking about Antonio Brown earlier. The reason why Antonio Brown supposedly was dismissed from the Steelers to begin with was because he posted that Instagram photo, which really they weren't doing anything wrong. They were just dancing around, but the NFL chose at that time and the Steelers chose at that time to maybe make an example of him because maybe he was in a contract year. And now you see, you watch SportsCenter now, everybody is posting videos in the locker room. Everybody's doing that.
He was ahead of his time.
But now it's okay for everyone else to do it. Do you guys understand where I'm coming from here with the split dilemma?
Yeah. And nobody said, Jake, to your point.
Nobody told Mike Vrabel yesterday, you can't post 2 days ago when they clinched. I love Mike Vrabel. When he posted those locker room videos, nobody came at him about any league violations. Now, I'm not saying that what Antonio Brown did was right.
Well, Jake.
But what I am saying is that he's definitely, I think we can all say that
we're going to move on, but I'll leave you with this note.
That's the example, though. That's the example of music.
Nobody said life is fair. And we'll move on to the next thing. Smoking, you're done. We'll bring up, this is Jake's unnamed, unknown segment.
For those unknown people out there, I'd like you to know about, there are so many people to start with. But let's start with the known before we get to the unknown. Let's start with a great running back by the name of Curtis Enis.
Woo! Penn State, baby!
Okay, who I have done a great deal of research on. Okay, and actually, if you've done any sort of research out there for the audience, you know that Penn State running backs, if you follow Penn State football at all, they went through 3 consecutive first-round picks so they players that were their bell cows, that they hung their hat on. Carson, Enis, and Kajana Carter in that order, or Kajana Carter then Enis. It was one of it was definitely Carson first. I forget the.
We're not worried about the order.
But the
point.
important thing is that, and then Barkley comes along, and he gets hurt. So I guess what am I talking about today? I'm talking about, the circumstances of time and place in sport and in life. You could be the highly touted first-round draft pick. You could go to Penn State and play running back and be the starter. But at the end of the day, it's just sport. Mm-hmm. And really, I think that's what this whole show is predicated on. It's just sport.
Hence the name, Sportsline.
And we use sport to better our lives, just like we try to educate our viewers as to, what really it's all about. Mm-hmm. And, one day you can go from being nothing and to be something. And from one day you can go from being something and being nothing.
And back again.
And back again. And then not again. And then, you get in a motorcycle accident. And then,
And then maybe you get old.
And then you get old. And then maybe you're not that old. you know, and then maybe you're not that old again, you know. So I guess what I'm trying to say to our viewers out there is life is what you make it. And I think that's a really important thing.
Hey, great theme. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming in tonight on short notice.
Yeah, thank you for wearing your purple shirt, Al.
Just to tell you that some people giving me a compliment that I look good in Pittsburgh Sportsline purple.
You look like you play for the Lakers.
Hey, that's an honor to my dad's memory. He was a great basketball referee and loved his basketball. So, Dad, Jake gave you a compliment about your son. All right, on location, we'll keep it short. Sad to say we didn't do many shows in 2021. We had USS Fight Academy that we did out north for sales. We're looking for shows potentially this year. This Master Zhang just bought a place in Bridgeville. He's a great martial arts guy and huge champion with his gym and dojo. We may do shows with him, and some other people have reached out that potentially down the road when we can safely go out, we will do some shows again. So I just want to get to our last segment called Steeler Talk. All right, we're back. Steeler Talk. What a way to end Big Ben's home career. Couldn't be prouder. Everybody has flaws, injuries, different things that happen. But I'll never forget what a talent he had for continuing plays and the 52 or 53 comebacks that he had. We were always alive in the fourth quarter, and sometimes it was because we had a defense that couldn't hold the lead, and he had to keep coming back. And we went through many years for what he did in his rookie year, and his second year, look at winning a Super Bowl for Jerome Bettis. One of the things I'll never forget about Big Ben, Jerome Bettis goes in to score and fumbles the ball. And I'm like yelling, no, this can't happen. This can't happen. And Big Ben reaches out with 6'4", grabs an ankle, and he made a tackle. That may be one of only 3 tackles he ever made, or 2 tackles. I don't know. I never heard how many tackles he had. But I did hear that he only played in 2 games that the Steelers weren't available for the playoffs. Can you imagine a career, 18-year career, and only 2 games were you not involved in potential playoffs?
But while I think about that game, I also think about really who was the quarterback on the other side of the ball in that game, and that was Peyton Manning, who at the time had not won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Indianapolis was the 1 seed in that year in the AFC, and Ben makes that tackle, and it all comes down to the right foot of the person who I call now Mike Vanderhacht. Okay, Mike Vanderhacht, the drunken kicker, okay, as Peyton Manning has referred to him to, who had not missed all year, and in the most critical of times misses a 34-yarder field goal. And it all just kind of had like a golden lining that year, that it was meant to be for Jerome. And in a lot of ways, guys, after having this conversation and watching what I've seen the last few days, the Steelers coming into this weekend are a 6% chance to make the playoffs. 6%. If they get in, they are just as deadly as every other team, because at that point it's 1 game playoff after 1 game playoff after 1 game playoff. They're right there with everybody coming into this last week. We'll see how it all goes. I will say this too. I'd put money on the betting line, on the straight money line.
Whoa, here you go from a gambler.
Yeah. I would take $10, put it on Jacksonville to win this weekend. Even though you're probably going to lose $10, with the ability to win $70. You don't see when you start getting from 6 to 8 to 1 odds on a straight up money line in the National Football League with world-class players, that is something where you maybe start thinking to yourself, okay, well, you realize that, maybe it is, everyone's good. I can win any given Sunday. You heard it here first. The Steelers find a way. Oakland wins. Oakland beats the LA Chargers this weekend. They're on the Cinderella story with Madden. Boom, bang. What? Here he is. Here he goes. There we go. We're crossing. There he is. We found him in the,
Don't we need the Colts to lose too? I think the Colts have to.
Well, I'm saying, what I'm saying is
so
that
if Jacksonville.
No, so there's that. No, but Jacksonville. Jacksonville.
No, that's all we need. We need Jacksonville to win, right? And us to win, and somebody not to tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Raiders.
And I just think it's a perfect storm, boys. It's going to make for a great sports story, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time when we talk about it.
I might take 50 cents of that and put it on Jacksonville.
You only bet $250, so.
Oh, he trusts his gut.
Hey, Jake,
he's got smoking Jake Clancher next to him.
That's it.
Jake, we have a degenerate gambler who says he bets $250 a day, and he's sitting next to you. We don't know what he bets or what his odds are.
I don't care.
But he bets.
Ask him.
But here's how simple. You've gambled, and now when you put a certain amount of money on, he just mentioned here, if anybody listened to him, you could put $10 down and maybe make 70 or 80. Now, Smoking Jim tells us, I bet $250, I lost $250. I bet $250, I won $250. I just know from being a gambler on horses that none of that's true. Now, you just heard the logic that I gave you.
Sure.
So he's going to bet $250. We don't know on what.
Right.
And he may lose it, he may win it. But he's having fun, so I don't want to stop his fun.
What I'm saying is,
or his dream.
What I'm saying is that if you take an 8-1 team at the National Football League at any level on the money line, if a team is really valued 8 times higher before the game is even started, 8 times that amount, that is something that if you do that 8 times, you will be rewarded because the majority of the time you won't win.
Good point. Good point.
And he knows about the not winning part.
Oh, I'm also a finance guy. I'm also a finance guy, like you said in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, we covered that, and I tell people if you don't bet, don't start. If you do bet, do the opposite of Smoking Jim. But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this one. We got Jake on here revealing a couple little gambling tidbits.
Whatever you want to call it.
And if you want to speculate with $10 and not $250, go with Jake.
Well, I just got 3 takeaways from the game.
Okay.
Number 1, it goes back. When Ben was in
boom,
high
we go here, we go there, we go up here. Jim, we're going back here, we're going good. Yeah, what are we doing?
Ben Roethlisberger was all-state in basketball in high school, all-state in baseball, didn't start quarterback to his senior year because he played behind the coach's son. People got to quit putting their snot-nosed kids in there starting. And
Jim, great
They
point.
ruined a lot of Hall of Famers. Number 2 point from the game. Coach Mike Tomlin's been bad his whole career on the red flags and timeouts. He tried to do something good for Ben and screwed up the timeout again. And thirdly is that congratulations to the Harris that wears number 22, Najee Harris, broke Franco Harris' record on a long run down the left sideline.
That's what we haven't talked about.
Listen, you got these young guys got to study their history.
The future.
Wouldn't it have been
100%.
great if he'd have ran out of bounds like the original Franco Harris? He's right by the sideline. He could have broke Franco's record the way Franco did
He ripped
by
it off.
running out of bounds. But hey,
Smoking Jim.
what a great game, Al Levine.
Hey, Najee, dude. Najee. He's
Tony
one
at
of the players of the
Chick-fil-A.
future.
I got to give a disclaimer. All these guys badmouth Franco worse than anybody I know, and they're friends with him.
I love Franco.
And they always talk about him running out of bounds. He was one of the leading rushers when he retired, like maybe number 2 or something, with over 12,000 some yards. So I'll just share this. If he truly ran out of bounds, as much as Smoking Jim and his posse, because that's what it is. It's a posse that disrespect Franco. I'm friends with Franco.
Me too.
I know, but I'm legit.
I know Franco, but I'm not friends with Franco.
I'm legit with him, and if he ran out of bounds like they all said, there's no way he would have had the yardage or the Hall of Fame career. Because watch some of the film on him.
And I think that maybe too, Al, that maybe we haven't taken enough time here to really look at, okay, this season is ultimately going to end, and it's probably ultimately going to end with the Steelers losing.
Oh yeah, they're not a good team.
They're not that good. They are not as good as Mahomes. They are not as good as Kansas City. They're not as good as Green Bay. They're not as good as New England.
But guess what we got? And they don't have.
Jim, let me finish.
Okay, my fault.
Okay.
My fault, Jake. Didn't mean to interrupt.
They shouldn't win. They shouldn't. But in this day and age in the NFL, they have every chance that they could, and that's all you can ask for is a chance. And I really believe that the Steelers have a chance.
We got something that nobody else in the league has, and
what is it?
In the league has ever had.
What?
We got the greatest Steeler of all time, T.J. Watt. And he can take over a game like Lawrence Phillips. 4 sacks last night. Do you agree with me that T.J. Watt is the greatest Steeler of all time? We all know he's the greatest linebacker in Steeler history.
He had the best game of any.
But he's the greatest Steeler, better than Joe Green,
when he
Bradshaw.
Smoking Jim, when you first
saw I was. Why do you say that, Jim? Why do you say he's better than Joe Green? Why do you say that he's the best? Because really, if you really look at it, next to Joe Green's actually done a lot more in a lot more time.
If you're white, you're all right with me.
That is not the right evaluation that I would predicate upon, okay, how I evaluate talent, okay? But I will say this. What T.J. Watt has done this year has been just
his whole career.
And Jake,
consistent and consistently dominant.
Let me interrupt you guys in this love fest. Smoking Jim, when T.J. Watt got drafted.
I mean, I feel like Rodgers here with my hands in his pocket.
We had our first game or two, and Smoking Jim said T.J. Watt was the greatest linebacker in Steeler history after 2 games. So he's still there. And we appreciate you, Smoking Jim. Anybody got some closing remarks? Jake, thanks for being on our show.
I just want to say one thing. Mario Lemieux, to this day, is still the greatest hockey player of all time.
I second that emotion.
Gretzky, the greatest.
He thinks Gretzky. I said there's no
Didn't
comparison.
talk any hockey on today's show or baseball. But
understand.
Yeah, we're the same
Ovechkin,
and the Penguins, how many games of the Penguins?
Jim, stick to football.
Jake, how many Penguin wins do we have? What did we win? 8-5 the other day, Jake. Penguins are on a roll, and they're looking good. Look at Gensel, look at Rust, look at Erod.
Yeah, look at what I would consider to be a cast of really not very good players at this point.
And look at they're playing well.
But yet they're winning games, right? But that's the Penguins going to win the Stanley Cup this year? They have no chance. Well, to say they have no chance is stupid. But
yeah, but guess
very
what?
Little chance.
If you win games and you keep winning, you have that little 6% potential.
That analogy is a lot different when we're talking about the course of a 16-game season as opposed to an 82-game season or 160 game season.
We have Jake bringing logic to Smoking Jim Frazier. It's a rare time of conversation here. Thank you, Jake. I want to thank Smoking Jim. Thanks to all my interns. First show of 2022. I get to do it. 2022. And please stay Joey strong.